Hey everyone, can you hear me? Testing, testing. You all are on mute if you can hear me. Okay, then I will go on mute as well.
Now we're going to be working to try to get this answer document to the comments, accumulation of the comments from the letters and from the public hearing. So what's today's what is today? The
First.
right? Oh, it's there.
I pointed to the table, so it's like the workshop meeting. So applicants. I hope that's okay.
All right. I usually get the
Hide behind my.
No, dang, this seat doesn't work.
I'm gonna go work the camera too closer.
You probably have a remote Zoom.
Yeah.
So I had started the Taylor, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Oh,
That's great.
Let's see, we haven't fixed that audio issue thing. I came the next day, but then we had so many things to do. We were here for like 2, and then we didn't have time to get to it, and then we haven't been back here, so. Hopefully before next week. So maybe.
It says it's outputting
I know,
from,
I know.
so I don't understand.
So, where to begin? What's the best way to begin with this? I didn't silence mine. So has everyone been able to? Was everyone able to get into the workspace on Google and check out the files? No, you didn't get a chance.
So on the road all day today and then just come back about an hour ago.
No, but I mean, even, did you get logged in and see the files there?
Yes, those files.
Yeah, that have been, not necessarily today,
Yeah,
just
I read
in
all-
general, up on. And did you see,
They sent a response. They sent something today.
Carson? Yeah, Carson sent a couple of things. They had a new visual impact line of sight thing, and then we have to talk about that today because they said, let us know like 3 more lines that we want. Because they're
I
trying
didn't
to.
get a chance to review what they sent.
Right.
But they're.
So that's the thing that I guess George was talking about. That type of study that he told us about the last time where they do, I guess, LiDAR and something else, to come up with that, do not disturb us. And,
So, Michael, can I just maybe ask you as a starting point, I know that you want to come up with the list of topics for the applicant to consider, but what is the, like,
for us to consider.
yeah,
And so the idea is that we have the list of issues that
Yeah.
we're considering in order to make our seeker determination.
right, so would it make sense to just kind of go into like bucket points, bucket lists? Like we've got environmental, we've got visual impact, we've got the operator itself and their relationship to Nexamp. I mean, how would you want to go through it?
Actually, Taylor, maybe you can help sort of by giving us the framework, and then we'll try to fit into
Yeah.
the seeker framework of what categories we're going to be looking at to make our determination, and then we'll talk about the
Okay.
comments and see where they fit within those categories. How about that?
Yes, so the thing that we talked about is looking at the Part 2 EAF. You know, the applicant, the solar developer completed a Part 1 EAF, then it's up to the town to, I believe you are the lead agency to, you know, like I said, you're saying rate the impacts, and the Part 2 EAF gives you all those categories. So I'll bring one up if that's easiest. Let me
Yes.
see.
So.
And we can just kind of go through it.
So, with regards to the EAF, which is this document, right, which is the part one.
Right.
So when I went through it, I saw a number of issues which I thought were discrepancies within the EAF itself and which were incorrect facts. So I don't know whether we need to review this EAF and kind of go through those points or whether that's relevant to this.
It will
Session.
definitely be relevant. So
Yeah.
let's have Taylor go through, and then we can look at and we'll talk about those points. We'll bring it up.
Yeah,
and
so-
we'll-
Just quickly on that, and this is, you know, I have to double check to make sure I'm 100% correct, but the EAF, my understanding of the law is that the EAF is the applicant's document. They can say, this is it. This is what I'm submitting to you. I think it's in their best interest to give you as much information as possible. And you, as a planning board, can say, you know, we need more information. We want more information. But what they give you, and if they give you, you know, not enough, or what you think is incorrect or something like that, that's going to influence your decision on the Part 2. So I think you can ask, you know, if you have questions, you can ask them to, you know, revise it and send it back. But if, you know, if they don't, for whatever reason, I'm not saying they wouldn't, but if they don't, then that just goes to your, you know, your discrepancy on the Part 2, which I brought up. So let me see if I can share my screen. Okay, so this is the form looks like this. It's, you know, just a checklist. So typically, or not typically, there's a number with a category and then a question for each category that's either a yes or a no. If you answer yes, then you go to these sub questions and you decide no or small impact may occur, and then or a moderate to large impact may occur. Now, checking moderate to large, you know, is not, that's kind of just saying, you know, that's what we think. We need the applicant to give us more information that could tell the applicant maybe they need to adjust their project. Maybe the applicant needs to find ways to make it not a large impact or lower the impact. But, you know, you'll kind of see as we go through this, or as you go through this, when when you choose no or small, and then when you do moderate to large. I just want to give a quick overview. So what, I'll let you, interrupt me, but we can just kind of start if you want. And this is your discussion, but can everyone see? Is this the best way to do this?
Yes, it looks great.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, now it's too much. Now it's too much.
Good. I'll leave it.
No, yeah, that's good. Right there, yeah.
All right. Let's leave this here. All right. So the first question is, with the proposed action, the proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site. That's a yes, right?
Yeah.
It's going to do something. So let me see. We could select yes. This is just, I'm just playing with this, drafting it. You know, this is not, you know, doesn't have to be official. So now that it's yes, we go to these sub questions. And this relevant part 1 questions here helps, you know, it says, go check the EAF part 1. This is where the question, you know, they should have supplied this information. So something like this. So the proposed action may involve construction on land where depth to the water table is less than 3 feet. I don't have the part 1 in front of me right now. Maybe I should, but my guess is that it's not. The water table is further than 3 feet. I don't know. So if that's correct, you would say no, or small impact may occur.
Well, you know, on D2, part E, number 3, says that stormwater, when we discuss this one, stormwater will be directed to on-site wetlands, is what the part 1 said in their filing. As I recall, I mean, down low.
Yeah,
And if they are referring to an on-site wetland, I would presume that the water table there is less than 3 feet. But it may not be on the site of the array,
construction,
so you know,
right, because isn't that,
but they talk about it going on to a neighbor's
Yeah.
property also. So I don't know how much responsibility we have to judge that.
right. And I think that, you know, where we were looking at the wetlands on our last site visit, which they're saying are not wetlands. We don't know what the water table depth is there. It may not be a wetland as such in terms of having obvious water on the surface, but it could have a water table lower than 3 feet, less than 3 feet. Hard, we don't know that.
Yeah, I mean, so that's an example, you know, where we would say, you know, we could see what the EAF part 1 says, but then, you know, same thing, ask for more information or to have them clarify it. So we're not sure. And yeah, you're right. On the hillside, maybe it's not 3 feet, it's not an issue, but maybe there are parts of the site where it is an issue. Can you clarify this? I think that would make sense. So I guess, do you want me to take notes on these sorts of things and, you know, take notes here on the side, or how do we want to go through this?
yeah, that's a good idea.
Guide for a discussion. You know, I'm just gonna.
So I have a question because E2D, their answer was that the average depth to the water table on the project site is 4.18 feet, but that's an average depth and that's not what this question is.
Right. Right. Yeah, and they don't always line up. Is unfortunately is an issue. Let me see. Right, like because it's a large site. So as we're saying, here we go. I just like this. So you could say like sorry. Come on. I don't know why it's, yeah, say need. So I think that's something we can go back. We do know, like B, right? The proposed action may involve construction on slopes of 15% or greater. So that comes down to a question of, is it a small impact or a moderate to large impact?
Well, what's on the 15%? That's just like the road, right? I mean, the
No,
actual
I think that whole field,
is rated at 15%.
Yeah, that's pretty steep.
yeah.
I think they
this
list
one
that on
here,
the EAF.
That one over there.
This one.
Hmm.
Well, actually, I think this whole area here is pretty steep.
Like walking up to that second field, we had to
From
walk up
there. Yeah, I guess. so.
from the center.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
so this lower field, I think, is pretty flat, but then it goes,
Right,
this
goes
is
up.
all pretty steep.
And then that crowns and then it
Mhm.
goes down towards the east. Okay,
But I have no idea what 15%.
Let me see.
Well, so it's here.
so they, I mean, they had it on their
Yeah.
thing saying that,
55% of the site is 15%
Right.
or greater.
I would
So, like,
say, yeah, go ahead.
so if, yes, it is, a large part of it is on that, but then we have to decide if that's an impact, large or small, is that correct, Taylor?
Yes, I mean, so what we could, so I think that's a yes. But right, is it small or large? So, and it's about the impact, right? So if they're, let's say they're doing, things that are gonna make within the project that are gonna make the impact less, is not, not as, I guess, harsh on steep slopes, so, and that could be part of their stormwater plan. What are they doing to prevent, stormwater runoff? That's generally a concern with steep slope development. That could be a small impact. If you don't think that the stormwater plan, or if we don't think the stormwater plan is detailed enough or is, good enough, then it can be moderate to large. That's just what's coming into my mind. I think, and I know they did submit a stormwater plan.
yes.
I'm not sure. I think that would be, I mean, the specifics of that would be for the engineer to review more so than me,
Right,
to say like, yes, it's going to meet, because I'm sure, it's going to meet whatever permit we need to get. And if we can get the permit to mitigate something, then it could be be small impact or that sort of thing.
all right, let's keep moving through here.
So exposed bedrock or generally within 5 feet of the existing ground surface. I'm not familiar with the site if there's a bunch of, exposed bedrock or if there's bedrock within 5 feet of the surface.
They have it at 4.1 feet,
Exposed bedrock?
yeah,
Okay.
but, they're not digging into the ground, I mean,
Right.
right, I mean, so.
Yeah, so that, to me, that's an example of like, well, if that's the case, then you could say it's, that's a small impact. Yes, it is, but it's, the type of construction may not be,
Right,
it's not going to disturb it too much.
When all the pilings meet up, because let's say the pilings go 10, 15 feet into the ground.
is that what they say?
I believe there's piles right there.
Okay, it's only the board, I'm sorry, thanks for helping, but.
Yeah.
I think they said they drive the pilings 10, 15 feet into the ground. Because they have to be wind resistant, so, and I don't think there's any sort of concrete foundation or anything, right?
Right.
There's no pouring,
Right,
so if they're just pushing it into the ground, you're gonna need more than 4 feet to. For the wind, does it say how much of the area is?
it just says the average.
And what is-
Average then?
Yeah.
What is the reasoning for what's within 5 feet? I wonder.
Yeah, and I've got maybe speaking a little out of turn, but my guess is this could be something with, how much, you have to do a lot of blasting, like you said, or how big of a construction job is it going to be? I guess that's kind of what comes to mind for me. I'm not exactly sure, but this is a good example of, we could say, I mean, also if we, and again, right now what we're doing is kind of discussing it, but ask for more information from the applicant. Well, where you proposed pilings or driving, what is it like? What is that construction like? And if we put moderate to large, or if you put, moderate to large, that doesn't mean, it just means they need to explain it a little bit more to you, or incorporate, explain what the construction practices are. What happens in 40 years, or with decommissioning, what does that do to the site, that sort of thing. That's what I
So excavation's pretty clear. Pose action. What did they answer to D2E and D2Q?
D2,
E.
yeah, I'm going to go up to D2. the D2 E,
Mhm.
which subpoint?
D2E and then D22Q. We will disturb more than 1 acre and create stormwater. Yes. And then Q. I don't know, that doesn't seem to match what. Proposed action. Use pesticides, no. Yeah, we got that clarification with the pesticides. They're not gonna be using any herbicides. All right,
Well,
so the F, that would be also covered by the SWIP, is that correct, Taylor?
I mean, I think so, right? If it's a stormwater plan, I mean, I would think so, but that's something to ask them. To turn back, so say, if it's erosion, so stormwater erosion, but what about non-stormwater related erosion? Are there any other concerns, that you have from, you meaning the planning board, from construction? How are they going to handle, when they're driving this on the hillside or constructing on the hillside? How are they going to reduce erosion during construction? How are they going to reduce, I said non-stormwater erosion? Or what is that like in their other projects? What have they done and what are they proposing to do? I think generally the SWIP would cover most of it, but I think those are just some questions that I have about construction.
All right, obviously it's not in a coastal zone.
So, Michael, here they say no to the use of pesticides, but in the operations and management plan, it says they may use.
But then they updated it, remember? They sent an update and said there will not be herbicides.
I haven't seen the updated plan.
Remember, we asked them that question
Yeah,
at maybe the public hearing or something, and they, somewhere along the line, that you had brought that up, I
Yeah.
think. And then they said that, no, there won't be herbicides used.
right, but I don't think we've received an updated operations and management plan.
So herbicide. Clarification.
Yeah, this would be, as you said, a no.
All right,
Okay.
so that's land. So
Yep.
what's next?
Impact on geological features. This proposed action may result in the modification or destruction of or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landforms on the site: cliffs, dunes, minerals, fossils, and caves.
What did they answer to that?
Which E2G?
Yeah,
No. Well, this is a different question.
And what? Sorry.
E2G talks about hazardous wastes.
Interesting.
page 11.
Oh, E2G. Okay, thanks.
So it says, no, there are no unique geologic features on the site.
And when you walked the site, you agree with that assessment?
Mhm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So since it's no, we can keep moving. Because if the next questions would be identify the landforms, and then is it may affect, or is it adjacent to a registered national natural landmark? Okay, so impacts on number 3, impacts on surface water. The proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies, streams, rivers, ponds, or lakes. So I know the summary report said the wetlands on site are not wetlands, but I think there are streams nearby. Is that correct?
Nearby or on the property? On the property, there's no stream.
There's no stream.
Right, but near, I mean, that's, I guess that was the same thing. What does this, the SWIP talk about? How are we gonna keep, or how would you keep stormwater from reaching nearby streams? Because isn't, I could be wrong, but I thought there was a stream south of the site.
What did they answer here?
People talked about it going into whatever is down on, like on Trip Road somewhere.
Well, Bean Road.
Oh, no.
It goes into the
Bean
Bean
River
River.
Road.
Separated from the property by.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's-
Yeah, so if there's, if you know, they said no, and you think there's enough space, and what the SWIP says, then this could be no, since if there's no surface water on the site.
There's something I saw on E1B. In the chart, it says that currently there is no surface water on the site. But then at the end of the project, there'll be 1.2 acres of surface water.
Yeah,
Right, because they're putting that retention pond
right.
down at the bottom,
By the,
Now,
Right.
4.25 acres, that's pretty big.
one down by the road there.
Okay, I mean, I'd assume that's what they're on, maybe they'll put a.
Because of the road that is from the site and from the road you know, whatever. I don't know if they have to excavate that road really, but just redo it so it's proper. I mean, we walk.
Then I think that's a yes, right? Because just
Yeah.
Mhm.
the site's going to create, is that question A? It may create a new water body, right? It's going to create a retention pond.
Yeah,
So I would think yes, but that's the, what is it? Is it it's creating a new retention pond. But is that how, you know, he said it's 1.2 acres. That's kind of like, what is that, a large or a small impact? I guess moderate to large or small, because it is, yes, it is happening.
I mean, it's a retention pond. I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think that's like a major, that's not a major.
it's kind of my thing. I'm not sure. I mean, this is, and again, this is kind of a draft for discussion, so, okay. But then, because we select yes, we can look at all the other ones.
I was actually, dredging,
No.
joining all the construction within or joining title, no.
It's no.
Yeah, from, wait,
I think this is no.
no, it's not. What's actually? No,
So this is if there's no streams nearby, and the SWIP takes care of things in the retention pond, and that's no issue.
oh,
There won't be any intakes, right? Because they're not withdrawing any water.
right. Outfall,
No.
No.
no,
We know. Create a source. Right. So this is H, same thing should be in the SWIP of the SWIP prevents, you know, soil erosion, which would lead to siltation, then it's okay. And if there's the same thing, if there's not streams nearby, then I don't think it would be, I think it's a no or small.
right. Those action may affect the water quality of any water bodies. No. No.
so how do they answer that so that we feel confident in telling people that it's not going to go to the Bean River? Or,
That's George is looking at that, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, we'll have some kind of a
Yeah.
thing that says, you know, groundwater doesn't travel underneath roads and through valleys and.
well, I mean, they have that whole SWIP plan. I mean, things like
Yeah.
this big, and George, it's up to George to look at it for us and tell us that, yeah, it's proper and the water is
Okay.
gonna. Any water that's created is going into that retention pond down there.
But then on the other side, it
Sorry.
also said it was going in towards the, no, on the western side. it would go,
That's where
It's gonna go down.
To a wetland.
yeah, but it just kind of said it was gonna go to where, like into the other neighbors.
He did?
Yeah.
In the SWIP it's in there?
No, I think either on our walk, where
Yeah,
I'm not
on the
sure,
walk.
on the walk. or
Yeah, because it sheets down off the panels which are facing towards Sugar Hill Farm
Okay,
to the wetland area, which is on their property.
okay.
And so I think it's heading, I think there's water that's going down in that direction, which I think is opposite from where the,
So heading west.
yeah,
West, yeah.
That it's gonna create more, I mean, it's already doing it, but it's held back, I guess, by the woods, is that the logic?
Well, there's more surface area to capture the water than when you have the panels, right? Because then the panels, it's just sort of sheets off the panels into. It's not as even a dispersion or, you know,
Hmm.
an absorption of water as when you don't disturb the site.
And I guess probably the trees and all the
Yeah.
vegetation are absorbing
Right,
a lot of the,
right. And then so that all of that land to the, on the west side is all of that forest is proposed for clearing.
Well, not quite all of it, right?
Yeah, I don't think it was all.
Well, it's.
I mean, just until the buffer, which is what,
Right.
however many feet.
Right.
Wasn't the topography there on that west field going uphill slightly before, I mean, didn't it crest before it headed further west?
Well, but then it's that forest area is being cleared there. To the west
Okay,
of,
but the topography wouldn't. That was my recall when we did our walk, gosh, that was a while back,
Mhm.
nothing on that western field, the topography went up.
It definitely goes up
It
from
goes
the,
up.
from the,
It then kind of like levels out, and then
Yeah.
as soon as you get to the property line, it's,
And it drops off.
so it's just gonna go right down into their field and driveway, I would imagine. Anyway, it probably
So that's
should
for-
be looked at.
yeah,
I mean, he could have misspoken. He was just, we should obviously.
water on neighbor to west.
Yeah.
So we need that clarified.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, I was trying to think if there's the H is not exactly the question for that. I think I completely understand what you're saying. I think they need to clarify, but I'm trying to think what, if we could, pointing to a specific part.
Wasn't
Yeah,
that down?
Cause I don't think it would go down into the retention
Mm.
pond, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's a-
Right.
Unless they had some sort of,
Unless they planned that, yeah,
Pension funds for this stuff coming down the road.
yeah.
I mean, there's no body of water it's heading towards, it's just to a field, right?
I don't know, that guy's building a pond.
Yeah, so you're making one.
For the pigs.
I don't know. It's a lot of mucking
So we
around.
just need to clarify exactly what's happening. Okay, let's keep going.
All right. So number 3. Oh, this could be, we could put, so, yeah, or number 4, sorry, impact on groundwater. The proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer.
Well. No,
No,
Well, so here's my question. How are they, where's the water coming from to wash the panels?
they said they're not washing the panels,
Okay, so they're not planning to have any water on site,
correct?
no well.
No well. They said in the Northeast, they don't have to wash the panels, the rain or whatever just takes care of it.
Mhm.
You know, obviously, the contaminants thing was brought up by a lot of the people in the comments, but as far as any expert we've talked to,
Can imagine those panels each.
yeah, I mean, you know, we haven't found any evidence that they do that, so unless you ground them up with.
yeah, I mean, I think disposal and contamination is more of a
Right.
concern.
Not during operations, there's no,
Right,
Yeah,
Well, I
So-
guess unless there was, a panel was broken. And
yeah, but it's not like there's like, it would have to be broken into like
smashed, yeah.
tiny pieces though, I mean, and like how much. You know, it's things that are made of, there's not liquids in them, you know, it's like if you took a computer board and like smashed it, like, how much is that gonna? It's not gonna just sit there either, right? They're gonna come there and be like, oh, our panel got smashed, we got, you know, something, whatever happens. I'm sorry, we cannot have comments, ma'am. I'm sorry. This is for us to work through this. It's for us to, it's an open meeting, so
Wish that I could add some insight in that.
you can send a letter.
Come to
Okay, but how, is this gonna be resolved? Because it sounds like you're resolving this.
It
In
sounds
between
like
now
we're
and-
working through, this is a workshop session. That we're going through our process and the process designated by the state. And this is, and we do it in an open fashion, so everyone can see the deliberations, but it's not, this is not an open meeting. I mean, it's an open meeting, it's not a public hearing where people are commenting. That's for, again, the public hearing was adjourned, not closed. So we're still taking comments, so you can send a letter and there might be a future for limiting comment in the future at a meeting, but right now, this is for us to work through this.
Okay.
Okay, so, right, no.
These questions below kind of, yeah, talk about need of drinking water and then water supply wells, which don't apply, bulk storage of petroleum and chemicals, right? Which aren't gonna apply.
And then pesticides or herbicides that we're just getting clarification on that, but we think that they're not using any.
Yeah.
100 feet of, and it's certainly not within 100 feet of anything. Impact on flood.
Mhm.
No,
Okay.
there's no 100-year floodplain. on Top of it, no.
Yeah, I mean, that's what these are generally all about. Are you within, well, it says, the question says, may result in development on land subject to flooding. Is the site subject to flooding now? We asked, what is one, it's the only reason why I'm pausing for a second is because I know there's no wetlands on the site. But yeah, it's not in the floodplain. I guess if it's not in the floodplain and there's no wetlands, I'm just trying to think. It's not that my pause does not mean that I think there's a moderate or large impact. I'm just trying to think through the question a little bit. Because the first question does not specifically ask about floodplains. The later ones do. Like if this was a yes, I don't think A, B, or C, right? Because they're not in floodplains. And it's not in the floodway. It's not a coastal area.
Well, but the first question, is it on land subject to flooding?
Right, exactly. Yes, that's correct. That's the question. So it's yes or no.
So that's a
That's a
no.
no.
That's a no.
Okay.
No.
Keep it moving.
Section.
Yeah. Move on to section 6.
All right.
Max on air. Okay, action may. No. Closed mention may generate 10 or more design. No,
It says to go to 7.
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, this is, I
So
think
this is
typically
no.
about, yeah, are you emitting things?
no,
Impacts on plants or animals, section 7. The proposed action may result in a loss of flora or fauna.
Yes.
Yes.
I think that's yeah, obvious, yes. So then part 1, and this should be in the EAF. Are there any threatened or endangered species and on the site, or do they think there's any on the site or near the site?
the,
2 kinds of bath.
well, 2 kinds of bats can be in that.
Yeah.
It's not that they've been seen, seen, it is within their territories, that would be.
And monarch butterflies.
Butterflies.
Yeah.
Okay, is there, I mean, so
Within-
I think that could be a small impact unless there's concern, unless you have concerns that maybe there needs to be more investigation or something.
Well, I think they said how they would not do it during migration periods and
Of what? Of the butterfly?
The butterfly, but the bat,
Yeah, the bats.
Well, the bat, they can't log their, or they have to log with the person out there that would look at every tree that they're gonna cut. If they do it outside the window.
yeah.
So would it be, what are your thoughts about having a biologist and or a forester come out to this area and really try and assess some of these flora and fauna impacts to the site? Because in the report, the CPNY report, they talk about a significant taking of trees, and there's no real definition of what significant is or not. It's kind of skimmed over. And we don't know really, we know that there are a couple of endangered species that have been seen within a travel distance to the site, but we don't have an assessment of the site itself. So I don't know that we're really in a position to answer these impact questions.
I believe the survey, the wildlife survey they did was also done in November. And so that's, not necessarily a time you can identify what might be a potential federal site, but you have to be able to look at any animals that they are hiding in this site.
So
What did they answer? Or what are you looking at?
I'm looking at the report that was done by CPNY, in which they talk about these different species and the amount of trees that are being cut down, and the determination as to whether or not that was a significant amount of trees and habitat removal, which was not really addressed in their letter. So they kind of put it out there, but they don't say,
Maximum cause reduction loss of species. Habitat used by any. Well, I mean, the bats in the tree, I guess B is,
so
yes.
So this reference here, which they say, if a significant amount of tree clearing is proposed, a potential effects determination should be coordinated with USFWS, since the project will not require a federal permit. Well, what is a significant amount of tree clearing? That's not, that isn't clear from this letter. And if we should know whether this is considered to be a significant amount.
Could the U.S. Fish and Wildlife people
Mhm.
weigh in on that if we ask them?
I don't know, that's a question for
Within
George,
a month,
probably.
Within a year?
But to have somebody define significant.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, in my mind, it's significant. It's like, how many acres of trees are we cutting here? I mean, if that's not significant, I don't know, So I guess B is probably out of all the loss of species.
I think that, as you said, that to me, that's a great, as you're discussing, that's a great thing to go back and say, have someone verify your report to say, is this habitat? Because it may or may not be. I'm not sure.
I mean, I think we need to understand if what is a significant amount of tree clearing with respect to these different species that are threatened, and in general, because I think this relates to this is in the context of the habitat considerations, and it's in the context they bring it up in the context of the long-eared bat, but I think it's more generally requiring a potential effects determination.
Yeah, I think that's, a great question to go back to the applicant with, or to have them, either you could have someone review it yourself or have them have a report, a professional report on the habitat.
I mean-
According to this, they say the bog turtle, that there's no bog turtle habitat on
Yeah.
the property.
But I think when we went to the site visit and we saw recently with George and the biologists that they had hired, we didn't, they were pointing out upland plants and they showed us that there weren't any pools of water and so on. But I think when I've spoken to wetland biologists about this, their view is that a determination of a wetland should be done in the growing season. And that, I think it's, in my mind, it seems unlikely that it's a wetland, but I don't know that we can categorically say that if we're not doing it in the growing season.
But I mean, George has looked at this for us, and like you said that, what was the three things? The hydraulic soils, the plants,
Mhm.
which you should be able to tell if they were there, even if it's not in the growing season. Is that not what he said? What did they say on the wall?
That's what he was indicating.
And then the third thing is actual water and evidence of water
Mhm.
movement, right? That's the three things.
Yeah,
So it's
The
not like,
hydrology, does it lay it, is it in a valley? Does it make sense the way the land is set up?
right? Did they look at did they talk about the soils at all?
yeah, we
We
did.
dug it up.
They dug it up, actually.
Yeah, in a couple of spots.
So I don't know. I mean, this is the process that the state has laid out. They have their expert, we have our expert. And he verifies their report or looks it over for completeness. I mean, I don't know what more we can do on that.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
to just bring in another expert that we're paying, I don't know, with that they, that would be on working for us, that they, I don't understand.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's just, I think the correct approach is to do a wetland assessment in the growing season. I think that's kind of the correct protocol. And I mean, I'm also not really clear on why they hired a Pennsylvania company to do work in New York State.
Is it like just a large company or something?
It's a big company, yeah,
Yeah.
but
They were saying they have offices all over.
yeah.
Mike, can we go back to the trees for a second?
Yeah, sure.
And forgive me if that's already been something that's been sent out that I hadn't seen, but we've got the lay of the land, the proposed panel setup. But is there an overlay that would take the existing trees and then indicate like a markup, like proposed?
They showed it at the last meeting and I think it went out.
Okay.
It was in some sort of update. He had like,
This one?
no, remember he had it, it was like this. Here. Scott.
So it's like 20 acres have to be cleared or something, right?
Right.
24.
25.
Right, so
25.
obviously everything within the fence and then outside the fence, this is clearing and topping.
All of this.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so
everything's
this is
inside.
We like stood,
And then this is good, because panels don't go all the way.
Yes,
down.
Yeah, they do.
They
You do.
I didn't remember how far out they went.
we walked all the way
I remember
The first time.
there, yeah.
Yeah,
And then this is
I didn't
where,
remember how far from where the field was to here, and this is where I was talking about.
Yeah.
Topographically going up, it's almost
Yeah.
like that's the ridge there, which starts declining on the other
This
side.
is-
Not so much.
this is where we like came up the driveway and then this is kind of where we like looked for all the wetlands.
Yeah, it goes up a little bit
A
to
little
here.
tiny
again,
bit.
and-
Yeah,
Kind of had to
No,
push
that's
left
really
there,
helpful.
like with the prickers. and everything.
right.
But
Okay.
this kind of is like flat a little bit. I
Right.
mean, you go
Right.
in,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it goes up a little, but then it's pretty flat and then just drops
And
off.
it tapers off, yeah. Oh, and what I guess what I was saying was that from here to here is not going straight downhill. That would be more of a concern.
We're on off the south side. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, although I'm not sure what's happening over here, right? I think this slopes down here
I think
on this side.
it's going more towards that way too, because you said the road was up here.
Yeah, we walked.
Yeah, that
up
was
right
pretty
here.
steep incline.
Yeah. This is
So,
kind of where,
here.
remember, there was like piles of stone, of
That's helpful.
rocks and stuff.
Yeah. This area up here, I think is a little bit of a concern because this is a ridge line up here. And so if you're, this is the area which I think is being seen. This ridge line here is what's going to be seen from properties on the east. And also, just in general, having anything on a ridge line it makes everything much more visible. So if they're clearing this, which I think is the continuation of the ridge line, that's gonna be, that's in the view shed.
Yeah, we have to look at that on the top of like this, because like. Was when we walked it, there was still trees to the east of us. I don't remember exactly how, yeah, I mean.
Well,
might
because
be one of
he
these.
was saying that they're not going to put panels down in this
Right.
area here because it's too steep. I think the ridge kind of goes along here and then it drops down
Right.
that way. So this is all ridge
Yeah, that
line
might be.
up here.
And that's the line of trees, or whatever, who knows how long they'll take to grow that they. I also talked to Andrew about. There's not many places for it, but anywhere that they can to maybe plant some more trees, just not for screening sake, just for. Mitigation sake of, but it's gonna end up being like 1 or 2 acres if they're able to find like this little patch
triangle,
here.
yeah.
They could plant trees, but that field's probably not gonna be used anymore. As it doesn't connect to those. And maybe down here around the retention pond. I
So
mean,
this
and
area,
maybe over here, but he said that. Might be reserved for a home site for the future when the thing is not a solar thing anymore. Remember how we talked about the cons? What's that? What was your question?
well, no, I was just saying that this forest area up here is quite different. This is all,
Yeah. It's more
pine-
like-
it's a pine, spruce, yeah, type of forest. It's completely different from this vegetation. And I think this should be considered in the context of habitat for wildlife.
All right, so this is kind of an unknown, right? May cause
Well,
ocean population.
I think if we're saying may cause reduction point, that is a yes. That's because we know that we have species of special concern up there.
The question is, how big of an impact would it be?
Yeah, well, that's what we don't really know. I think that's,
Right.
we need some help on that, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think and what your comments just were, identifying this is the potential habitat or this is where it could be. We just need to need more information. So I think this whole section just needs more information before, except for, or even all of these really to determine it's going to be a yes, but it's which is it moderate to large or small? No, or small, I guess is the question for these. Let's see. For
No,
E, I don't think there's a national natural landmark.
no,
Don't worry about that. Designated significant natural community. I don't think that's the case. And this another kind of goes back up to the other questions because I was just thinking about
Yeah.
nesting foraging.
I think 20 acres of trees would make that a yes.
Yeah.
Conversion of more than 10 acres of forest.
Yeah.
Yes. I think so. uses of herbicides or pesticides, we think that's a no. That's. And then any other impacts related to plants and animals. And this, this one's up to you to say what other, what impacts are that are not covered by
One
this.
thing that's been brought up is like having that fenced in area, is that, or did we hit that already somewhere?
No,
I don't think so.
Fenced in area would cause like a block, blocking
Yeah.
for animals to move through the area.
Wasn't it off the ground? Sort of like up to- I don't remember here.
Yeah, it's
For small things,
Right.
yeah,
like
small animals.
like
yeah.
rabbits or something like that, can get through.
Again, I'm just taking notes, so. That's something to consider, I think. Okay. All right. All right. So I guess, are we ready to move on to 8?
Yes,
Impact on agricultural resources. The proposed action may impact agricultural resources.
yes. This is no. The Ag and Markets sent us a thing that categorized the land.
But there are
Yeah.
soils 1 through 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, but no or small.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would say. I would
It was
say-
what, 10% they said was 1 through 4?
Mhm. Yeah,
So would that, I mean,
But it's not damaging it. Right? It's just.
well, that
But
just said, that says
impacting its
impact, so.
impact.
But you're right, it's not, may sever across or eliminate access to agricultural land. No, well. I guess no, right?
So do
It could be for small impact.
It's just the land the panels are occupying, that's not counted in B, correct? That would be if it was blocking, it would cut off another field, is that what that means in
Or
B?
limit access to another field.
So
A sever cross.
so are all of
These
those,
from here.
oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't think this would, I think the answer to this would be no.
Okay.
There, I can double check, but I mean,
As
thinking
long
back,
as, I mean, as long as that's not referring to the actual fields that they're using, then no. It
Right.
doesn't affect any other field.
right, I think it's like, if you're building a highway that cut right through someone's
Right.
field, would they, they couldn't go from one side to the other type thing? That's my guess.
Not gonna,
What this question's actually trying to get to.
or compaction of soil profile, no, well. I don't know, I guess that's a question for George.
Right, excavation compaction of active agricultural land.
I mean, what is compaction? Just driving the trucks on it as they build it? Does that count?
Yeah,
I think that's something that they should be able to answer, right? That they say, what is?
What did they answer on that?
E3B. E3B, yes.
They said yes, okay, so that's,
Well, wait,
What?
E3B,
uh,
that doesn't.
why
make
doesn't it
sense.
match?
It doesn't match up. E2,
Where are you in the right section? E2.
E, site and setting a proposed action.
All right, if we go down. E1. E2. Well, it wasn't there. Oh, E3, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused.
That doesn't make sense. It's not. Too highly productive soils.
I don't know why it's not matching up.
What
Well,
is,
that's the
what's the
question we
question?
get answered. So what is this?
8C.
8C.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of, to me, it's the D is also a question. Yeah, they're linked. That, with compaction, like you said, driving the trucks on or during construction, is this going to irreversibly convert agricultural land to non-agricultural uses?
From
Or
what,
is it?
from what George has told us, it's not considered irreversible because they just pull the panels out and it's good, that's what he said at previous meetings.
Right, but I don't understand how if you're driving if you're driving support brackets 10 feet into the ground, that requires a lot of, pressure, and then to pull them back out again. I think the compaction of the soil is a really important question,
Right,
both for the installation and also the decommissioning.
but the D, we're on D, we said that, we need clarification from George on whether or not the compaction of the soil, but D, as far as it's not irreversible.
I don't know.
Well, he said it wasn't.
If it gets removed, it will be
Right,
theoretically agricultural land again. The question is, why wouldn't they renew it? Why wouldn't they put new solar panels up?
right.
Well, using fusion power.
Yeah.
The power of the future, it's always 10 years away.
I don't know if this is, we really know the answer to this, because I don't know that this has been done before. I don't know if we've had installations onto agricultural land and then decommissioned them and actually tried to see if the land is still viable.
Yeah, have there been anywhere that have been decommissioned?
Yeah. No, it's kind of early, I think, probably.
But,
Because we would have, unless there was some weird situation, you would be talking about something that had been installed 25 years ago or something, which
Exactly.
wasn't happening. So,
Yeah, I think these are both kind of great questions to go back to them, to the applicant, to say, walk us through this. Because you will compact something when you're driving the trucks, but how big of, what happens, how deep of a compaction, how often are you coming to service? Or is this just limited during, construction? Just that kind of thing, is to get, that way you can gauge the amount of how big the impact is. Because it's going to be something, but it may just be a small impact.
so, I guess this kind of, for me, begs the question of the capacity which Carson Power has to answer these kinds of questions, because they're not actually developing the project. They're not actually going to be the ones constructing it. So it kind of speaks to me, to my questions around, we're asking Carson Power to respond to questions which they're not going to be involved in doing. They're not involved in installing this project, right?
well, they're the developer, they contract
Yeah, but-
with,
We get it set up and then next app does all the work.
Right, but Nexamp is actually the one that's going to do the development of the project. They're the one who's going to,
Physical construction.
the physical construction of it. Right, it's not Carson Power.
Well, they had somebody on the last call, so they'll.
Yeah,
They ask them
but they're the
questions.
applicant though, they're.
Yeah.
right, but my point being that they're not the ones doing the actual construction. So really, these questions should be answered by the developer that's actually doing the construction.
I suspect that's where Carson Power will get their answers from.
Right. Yeah, it's the same thing, if you have somebody building a house and they're a general contractor, right, he might not be putting, might not be doing the excavating himself, but he's answering for it.
Right, but Carson Power has never done one of these projects, so I don't know that. I think we need to be asking the right source for these answers.
Well, they're the applicant, we have to take the answer from, we can ask them, check with your people or whatever, but we can't be like, I don't know if it's really our place to be like, do you know, we have to judge it on that then, it can't be like, you don't know what you're talking about, because you haven't, you're not, they represent whoever they're gonna hire, or they're gonna hand it off to, or whatever.
Mhm.
I do think you can ask for information, and have it. It doesn't have to be. It could be. I'm trying to think. When we've done, EAFs, I'm just trying to think, if there's an EAF that gets created for a project, that's a big development. You're gonna have, your traffic consultant is gonna do the traffic study. And then the EAF is that traffic study is gonna be attached to the EAF. But it's gonna say on the cover, my traffic consultant incorporated. Right, so I think you're both right in a way that it's under the heading of Carson Power, the developer, but the construction or the people who are going to actually be doing the work should be supplying the information.
Right, we can ask them for more and go back and find out the information, but it's not for us to question their competence really, like, or their.
We
Well, it's just a matter of having.
We have to judge the information they provide, so.
Ask them to validate however they came up with their response that they
Yeah.
give us, right?
Right.
So ultimately, what you're concerned
Right.
about is anybody give us the answer, but where do they get their information from?
Right.
And then, we can challenge them at the,
Right.
whenever that question comes up. How does George know that it's not gonna have an impact or will have an impact? And, if he decides it himself, then.
Well, George is our guy, right? So.
Well, I'm sorry, Andrew,
Right.
George, you trust George, I got you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, I think those are good questions. E, say may disrupt or prevent the installation of an agricultural land management system.
No,
Okay. The proposed action may result directly or indirectly in increased development potential or pressure on farmland.
No,
No.
it's gonna be less development potential. This is gonna go into conservation.
Okay, there you go. The proposed project is not consistent with the
So
adopted. municipal
sorry to
farmland.
go back to that. I mean, I don't know how you define pressure, but you're taking out a certain amount of acreage from agricultural production. And I don't know if we've heard from the farmer who's,
We send him a letter, he has not chosen to respond.
so the one who spoke at the hearing, there
He
was,
worked for.
He works for Bell's.
okay. So we don't know whether that's impacting that farmer.
We sent him a notice. If they choose not to, we can't like hunt them down and like.
It's
demand-
very, that's minimal. I mean,
yeah, but.
They're a huge operation.
20 acres is gonna be.
Yeah, okay.
The project,
Yeah, geez, the proposed project is not consistent with the adopted municipal farmland protection plan.
and it's also, I think that's development pressure, by the way, not just pressure, it's development, it's increased development potential or pressure. So it's development pressure on the farmland. So it's talking about like, pressure to put a bunch of homes or something there
Okay.
or.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, no comment.
So. So the,
I don't know, this farmland protection plan thing, or what is that a
We
state
don't have a
thing?
farm-
We don't, it's not one for the communities.
Comprehensive plan is to protect farmland, right?
yeah,
That's what I was just thinking is I don't know of any adopted, townwide farmland protection plan. This could be something to check. Maybe like with Dutchess County, like we can look over Dutchess County's farmland plans. To see, if it's with their,
I say it's a yes, but I say it's a minimal impact.
I mean, you could take someone's field who they just have a horse in it and.
Yeah, so we just don't know if there's a plan though,
Right.
so.
so. I thought that we had, I thought that, the project site is within the,
Ag district, it isn't with the ag.
it's within the Dutchess County Agriculture and Farmland Protection Plan.
It is,
Yeah, they don't say it is, but I believe it is based on, other.
is that just
applications.
our ag district in general? They just put the whole thing in there, or is that?
I don't know.
or
I don't know.
county?
They also, the project site is also I think in the Hudson River Valley Greenway Compact and the Wappinger Creek Watershed Management Plan, isn't it?
Sounds right.
Agreed.
I'm not 100% sure.
Just because the town is.
It's kind of far from it, isn't it? It's like 2 valleys over. I don't know. We'd have to check that. Where did you find that info?
I found it by comparing the EAF to another EAF, which was for a site right next door or something like that. I'm not remembering exactly, but I think we need to double check all of that.
What were the 2 things?
The Hudson River Valley Greenway Compact and the Wappinger Creek Watershed Management Plan. And then, you know, the Dutchess County Agriculture and Farmland Protection Plan.
I don't believe it's in the Wappinger
No.
Creek watershed. It goes into the Rojan.
Okay,
The water goes into the Rojan there.
I know the Greenway is way over by Durst, but we can just check.
All right, 2 things to check. All right, let's go.
All right, so number 9, impact on aesthetic resources. The land use of the proposed action are obviously different from or are in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed project and a scenic or aesthetic resource.
Does that have to be designated as such? I mean, I don't know if we have
Land of the proposed action are obviously.
result in obstruction, elimination, significant screening, more official. No, I don't think we have any. Do we have any of this?
Well, what about from like the tower?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, tower.
And that's like fossil, does that count as a local? Or part of it might be nature conservancy.
So it doesn't say, the question does not say a scenic, a designated scenic or aesthetic resource. It just says a scenic or aesthetic resource.
Oh, yeah, I'm reading I'm reading A, which says designated.
Right. I'm just looking at, before we get there, it just says land use, proposed action, the land use of proposed action are obviously different from or are in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the project and a scenic or aesthetic resource. So that's not a designated scenic or aesthetic resource. And I'm kind of, is this my simplified read? Yeah, is this look different than everything around it, and is it visible?
Yeah, that's a yes up top, right? And then, but then this starts talking about designated federal, state, or local scenic aesthetic resource. And
Designated.
I don't know if there is on any. I would say that's no.
or local scenic. Isn't Stissing Mountain?
I think C is a yes, right, but A and B are no's.
I mean, it's gonna be visible from
That's what I was
Stissing
saying,
Mountain.
fossil.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
how many miles away is it? I mean, it is.
Well,
Possibly.
but I guess, is that an officially designated scenic view? I don't know what the hell is.
Right, we don't know what that is.
the local scenic or aesthetic resource.
Designated, local scenic or aesthetic.
So I think C is the yes and A can be a no.
Right, where's
What's
C?
it say?
Proposed action may be visible from,
A publicly acceptable management point.
yes. Yeah, I just don't know if if A is if we have any, I don't think we've designated any scenic resources. Sarah, you know of any, we don't have any like scenic,
Some scenic views.
we have.
We have.
Where from
Scenic views.
the fire tower?
The tower.
The fire tower.
Mhm.
yeah, might be a scenic
But
view.
is that a,
Yes, I too, then.
I'm quite sure that
so is it a moderate? I mean, that's where we have to decide. Cause I mean, it's,
Pretty small.
it's gonna be pretty
That's what
small.
I was thinking about.
Uh, All right, so we do have a scenic view from the fire tower, but the question is whether that's no small impact or moderate impact.
Right.
And then what is it? Maybe it was on the obstruction relations. No, that's no. May be visible from publicly accessible vantage points.
Yes,
That's-
Yes.
and
yes, yes.
Yes. and-
These are
Yes.
yes, as in moderate to large impacts.
Wait, what, publicly accessible vantage? So that's like somebody else's property?
Publicly
that-
accessible to me is streets, sidewalks, public trails, you know,
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
from the
think-
fire
From the
tower,
fire tower.
or in the fire
So
tower,
I'd say it's a yes, but a small impact, right?
yeah.
so for
Both of them.
1 and 2, okay. Viewers are engaging.
No.
Hmm.
Hmm,
And then, yeah.
D2 is a yes, I think.
yeah, D2, if that's fire towers, yes, then.
What is it? So is it
No, no,
yes, but small?
no, D2 is, oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess it's small, yeah. Yeah, it's a small. May cause diminishment of the public enjoyment appreciation.
No.
I think that's no. Anyone disagree? No,
There are similar projects. No.
that's a no.
Other, this is, you know, the up to you to find or think of other impacts that are.
Where does visual impacts go for like, private land? Is that somewhere else?
I don't think so. I'm just looking. I think this is the section to think about visual impacts. I'm just scrolling through real quick. I think this is it.
Okay, so then,
Other impacts.
yeah. it'd
Well,
be
and then it also.
Private
comes into-
properties to the east of the location.
Right.
And this is where we're gonna require them to do further visual impact studies with the, what is it, ray casting or no, what, no, not ray casting. What was it? Whatever that. With the LiDAR and everything.
How many property houses? 3 or 4.
It's not many. You can't see it from the valley.
It's like 2
I remember seeing
houses.
2 houses.
It's possibly,
But I don't know if they were based on the.
when you look at the map, there's like,
It goes straight from the corner of my property, I can see it,
on what from?
not from their house, but from a part of their property. So at least 3, I think.
Yeah, it's like 4.
Of course, then there's a house on Carson Road also that apparently is able to see this.
Carson Road? What road is that?
Yeah, I went up
It's up
there.
on
I
top-
didn't,
it's up
I don't
on
know if
top
it's
of the
received
highway.
the way.
Up there also, I don't think.
I don't think you can.
It's a stretch, isn't it?
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
went up there,
oh my.
but the new one that they're building on 199 maybe.
Yeah, the new vehicle.
And behind that, there's one, they're
Yeah.
building one behind that as well.
Yeah,
I was wondering, it's like laser. They have this sign that says laser. Like, what is that? I don't know. What are they putting in there exactly? Destiny. All right, so you're right. So we're requesting more visual impact studies from them. In that we don't have enough information to make that determination of the other impacts yet.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So just, it's what, the first question is, what, confirming, I know we have Stissing Mountain, but confirming any other local scenic resources. I'm picking up from you and I don't remember any that this is going to be a big deal, but just a flag, double check this. The big flag is, have some more, view impact studies done by the applicant.
There's definitely, the only officially designated one would be Stissing Mountain.
Right, okay.
And again, it's some miles away.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so let's keep going.
Impact on historic and archaeological resources.
No,
No, yeah, so they should say, and this should also come straight from SHPO. Like if they use the EAF mapper, which I think they did, it like automatically logs straight from SHPO's database. Are there historic resources on the property or nearby, and then archaeological significant resources. Right. 11, impact on open space and recreation. Proposed action may result in the loss of recreational opportunities or reduction of open space resource of an open space resource as designated in any adopted municipal open space plan.
Comprehensive plan required, is that the same as in open space?
I don't think so.
Probably
It's somebody's,
talks about
yeah,
I don't
that's,
think it's designated.
and it's also like recreational opportunities. I mean, it's private property, like. So I would say no.
I agree. I agree. That's, if it's private property and has been private property, then it's not going to be designated on any plan. It's publicly accessible. Or is just open space. Proposed action may be located within or adjacent to a critical environmental area.
It was no, right? Yeah.
I don't think it
I think that's no.
Proposed action may result in a change to existing transportation systems.
No.
No.
I think no. Because it's not a site that's going to get frequent, I mean, you know, check-ins or visits by a lot of people.
Mountain bike trail.
Impact on energy may cause an increase in the use of any form of energy. I always laugh at this one because it's yes, right? Like,
What we're considering.
are you going to do anything? Is anything going to be lit? We're gonna
No,
have sunlights, right? We have s-
it's gonna generate energy. I don't know.
Right, but the construction of it. The construction of it is gonna use a lot of energy.
I don't know if that's part of,
Right, that's the question is what is built,
Increase.
change.
right, this isn't having to do with construction. So Taylor, you're checking yes on this, you're thinking?
I was just trying to think, actually. I mean, you may have answered it. So they're going to be generating, and this just because I was thinking, are they going to have lights or some sort of? Is there any?
And they
sort
said
of
no, no lights.
no lights at all. Then what?
Certainly not gonna utilize any electricity.
Yeah, right. Are they? I mean, what about remote monitoring? How are they going to monitor the site? What's going to be? This isn't a big deal if you check yes. I'm just trying to think. You know, how is there anything drawing power on the site? Because it's just I'm laughing.
What about A, the proposed action,
Are they changing the substation for it, or they're able
Yeah.
to use the current substation?
they're able to use a substation, they just have to put those poles and whatever inverters and transformers or whatever right there. So is that
So that would
count?
be an upgrade, right?
So
To the
maybe put
upgrade?
that as a no or small impact.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, the rest of those are no.
You should-
Right.
Yeah.
the rest of
Because
these,
they're using existing lines, right? They're just gonna upgrade the substation and everything else existing.
Yeah, that's
Right.
why they said they wanted this, because those lines were the only ones available.
yeah, the hosting capacity is only in that corner.
Don't they have to add some lines?
They have to add, and they have to come up, so they have underground cables that go to the inverters and the pole.
Mhm.
And then, and it goes up onto the pole and then it goes right to the substation. You figure they could just do it all on the ground, but I guess, it's gotta go up and then over to the substation
Mhm.
for like 50 feet, whatever that
They
is.
can't go underground underneath the fences around.
Right,
Central Hudson.
right. But you figure they would work with them.
I'm not understanding why that's not a no.
Which one?
The primary point.
Number 14.
Well, because we have the substation, they're invited,
They're
you can
upgrading.
argue they're doing some,
Read the line again, under 14. The proposed action
may cause an increase in the use of any form of energy. It's so nebulous. How do you not answer yes to that? Like, like you said, like the monitoring system or something.
after it's built, is it increasing the use of energy?
But the next
me,
one
that's
is
a
like, will it
definite no.
require a new or an upgrade to the existing substation? Well, the substation is being upgraded. You
But we're
are
ans-
connecting
yeah.
to it. So if you answered no, you wouldn't have been able to
Well, okay.
answer that one.
So we answer yes, but I mean, these are all no or
No.
small impact.
Okay, that's okay.
I mean. nothing else that shows we considered it. All right, so those last two are also no.
Okay.
All right, next, impact on noise, odor, or light. Now, the only noise would be in the construction, so. Where does that all fit?
Yeah, that's a good question. Right, because I see that there's no outdoor lighting, it's not emitting any odors, it's not a brewery or any, thing like that, and it's not going to be noisy. I would say no, but that's a good question about construction.
I mean, this sounds more like in its operation, if you
Yeah.
read it.
I tend to agree. I agree. The gist is during operation. That's something I can double check, but I think
So
it's.
let's say no and check on it, put a note to check on where's the construction impacts.
We should also ask
What's that?
how, what, like we talked about before, like how deep they have to go down in the
Right.
ground and what happens if they do hit bedrock or,
Yes, we have,
How do
yeah,
we
we
get
have
through
that
it?
question now.
because it has like
There's a lot of
blasting and stuff in that area section too.
Right.
Wait, where's the blasting? Oh, yeah,
What
there
may
it is.
result in
Blasting.
blasting.
So in D2M.
Oh, so maybe this is construction then.
Yeah.
So in,
Oh, so this is yes.
You have to consider.
I guess it's yes then here.
well, they answered yes in their.
All right, so hit yes. Oh, well, thank you. So hit yes. No, well, we don't have any local regulations, so. I guess
No,
that's,
but we did talk about, I would put no, but because we did talk about limiting when
right,
With the hours operation.
Right.
they would, yeah,
and cutting the trees.
yeah, chipping.
We don't know about the blasting, we think no, but,
But it's not within 1,500 feet.
Yeah.
oh,
of any
right.
Residents. What
Of
are they?
any residents?
Yeah, I'm. trying
No,
to-
it would be within 1,500 feet of a residence, but we don't think they're doing any blasting. There's a house right across the street, right?
That
From where they'd
1,500
actually be doing it. Yeah.
There's a
okay.
house right next door, like down by the retention pond.
The part one, I think should ask or should say if they're doing any blasting, and I tend to agree. I don't think they would. If it's driving a pile, I don't know why you would blast or to drive a pile, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but
Yeah, I don't think there is blasting. What did they say?
Which one would that?
So this would be D2M or E1D.
I talked to Andrew about that rock outcropping at the top of the road.
Or what did he say?
He said that they would probably blast it.
He did.
Really?
Okay. So what did he say?
E1D,
Mm-hmm.
E1D. Talks about facilities serving children.
What is going
oh,
on?
that's why it's asking if
Licensed
there's any
daycare
schools.
center in there.
Oh, is that why? What about D2M?
Well, D2M we just looked at and that was,
Something else?
yeah, D2M is, hang on, D2M is, D2M is proposed action produce noise that will exceed
Right.
existing ambient
I
noise levels. And they talk about construction.
Control F. Wait, producing odors. Hit Control F and then blasting. Or just type blast. Wait,
Right.
is that on
Up
Mac?
here?
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, this is a Mac.
Command F, right?
Blasting, will the excavation require blasting? There's no answer.
They didn't answer.
That's D2,
Oh.
it's D2.
But that's
maybe-
projects. Is there only one blasting in the whole thing?
Looks like it.
Okay. We need
Seems
to
like
ask
if
about
it's-
blasting.
Yeah, it could be a small impact, but that's something to just have them explain. You know, hey, we have questions about this.
Hmm.
We heard you said you do the outcropping. What does that mean? What's it going to be like? How long?
No light showing, no odors. No sky glow. I mean, that's substation.
That's substation.
No problem.
Yeah, well, that is,
No, it's
So-
brighter than 10.
yeah, it is.
So other impacts is just put in here like, construction noise
Mhm.
and tree clearing noise.
Mm. Do they talk about any ongoing maintenance for tree clearing, like what that's gonna be like? I'm sure it's minimal. If they're clearing outside, they just come and mow? Is it just mowing the?
They just talked about
grass?
mowing really, right? They didn't mention seasonal tree trimming or something.
Okay.
But I mean, all those trees and they're gonna chip them or whatever, it's like, it's gonna be a lot of noise. So that's, at least during construction, I would say that's large.
All right. Section 16, impact on human health. Proposed action may have an impact on human health from exposure to new or existing sources of contaminants.
Once again, there's that bone of contention about the panels. Let me just see, is there anything else? But, proposed action involves construction modification, no. Radiance, no. I mean, what did they check?
E1D. This is, I don't know, this seems
Oh, it just goes to all those.
facilities serving children.
I mean, in theory, on the site, there shouldn't be anything if they in fact remove the panels at the end
Right.
and, recycle them off-site.
Right, and the part of this question asks, thinking about if you're doing construction on a site that's contaminated. So construction would release contaminants, that exist, and I can't imagine this site is contaminated.
Right, no.
They check no to E1G and E1H.
And that should, the contamination lists also populate automatically from when they use the EAF mapper. That's all state databases. So that should all just be from the state.
Yeah, so this is, I think, no.
Mhm.
May result in increase in the rate of disposal or processing of solid waste. Was that the decommissioning of the panels or that just in general operation? What did they have?
And this is a solid waste management facility.
Is that what it said?
G, item G.
No, I was looking at an I.
Oh.
Aye.
Rate of disposal or processing of solid waste. D, let's see, D.
So that's no, all right.
They're not generating waste, right? They're like,
Right.
it's not a,
And again, they have to have a decommissioning plan and they have to give us a bond for it.
right.
Result in the release of contaminated. No. All right, so we hit no at the top on that, right?
That's correct.
So,
Okay.
so just, sorry, but they said yes to, so-
R?
Yeah, so where D2R, so item F.
Okay.
um,
Yep. Or
Where is D? So
No, it's down here. It's I.
I, yeah, so they say, will the proposed action involve or require the management or disposal of solid waste? Yes.
how much solid waste did they say they were creating on site or creating?
Construction or operation of the facility, 0.1 tons
Per month.
per month. What?
That's weird.
That is very-
The waste will consist of office waste, cardboard items from deliveries. Most of the waste will be recycled.
So I think that's.
Is that
during
different?
Construction,
That's
that's during the
Construction
construction.
cases that the panels come in.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, to me, that's just disclosing that there will be, during construction, there's something and then that'll be taken away from the site.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because there's not an office. There's nothing there other than the panels after construction.
Yeah.
It's not, right, there's not like they're gonna be having, needing to recycle copies or something they're making in an office. Or, someone's lunch bag, I can't imagine,
I mean, operations, they say none.
yeah.
So it's just construction.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, next.
17, consistency with community plans. This one's tricky because no means it is consistent.
Right, no, it means it is consistent.
It's a
Well,
double negative.
I mean, the town passed this ordinance, the zoning law to allow solar in the zone. We just redid the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is a, vibrant town center with a rural, protecting the rural character. The mitigations put into the solar law ostensibly would preserve the comprehensive plan in my mind. I mean, I don't know, everyone, we worry about visual impacts, requiring visual impact studies, citing. It changes, let's see, different or sharp contrast to the surrounding.
I would say no.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, I agree with your line of thought, Michael. 18, consistency with community character. So again, it's a double negative. No means it is consistent.
So when you look at the things underneath here, they're all no's. Well,
Except for
F.
F.
Super.
I think we'd have to say yes to that.
Yes, but yeah. Project incident with existing community character.
And just put, yeah, like moderate, I mean,
Moderate.
something for F.
Moderate to large on that and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, you're changing the natural landscape. obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes logical sense to me. From, the comprehensive plan, talks about preserving the rural landscape. And this would be, there would be some impacts to the rural landscape here. This is, and this is an opportunity for the applicant to, to explain more, or show more about how it won't be visible, to the landscape. There won't be a big change. We're planting trees to help screen. We're planting trees where we can. We're preserving, open space. We're putting this back into land conservation. This is, because I think there's places they can elaborate, I think. That could make this a small impact or instead of a moderate to large.
All right, and then all those others are no.
Well, I think you'd have to, there's some small thing like E, you'd have to say it's probably a small, it's definitely inconsistent with predominant architectural scale and character. But
I don't know. I guess. Is it architecture when you're having like panels in a field? Like, I'm not sure.
well, but it's inconsistent with the architectural scale, so it's like it's a different
It's
scale.
different
It's
than
different.
everything else.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
inconsistent.
So is it large or small? Or moderate? I guess that, all right.
Moderate.
Yeah, let's click moderate on E. Okay,
All right, so that's the end of the form.
could we just go back to 17, because we kind of moved through that one quickly and so we said no, consistency with community plan. So I know that we have a solar law and I know that we have a community plan. But if you look at A, the proposed actions land use components are different or in sharp contrast to current surrounding land use patterns. I mean, that, I don't think we could, I think that's true. But I don't,
I mean, it's just because it's the first one. Like, I don't know, like, I don't know, but I don't know how you, can you check yes on the top?
The way I always fill these out, and you know, this is just from my experience, you read like answer the first question and it says, if yes, go to the other ones. So that's the, I mean, that's kind of like, that's how I try to think about it. Like I'm in, yeah, like following the directions, like it was a high school test or something. You know? You just answer the question it's asking you.
As opposed to answering the smaller questions to get the answer to the.
That correct. That's typical. That's the way when I'm looking at these, it's, you know, what is the first question? The one in the big font, the big bold font, right? Like the proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans. If it's not consistent, then it's asking, well, is the land use totally different? Or is it in sharp contrast to? Because it could be not consistent, but the change is not that big of a deal, so it's small impact. Or it's not consistent and it's a big deal. And here's all the reason, you know, because it is a big change. But I mean, I'm just, again, a hypothetical.
It's different than the current use in that area, but it's consistent with the land use plans for the town and the comprehensive
Right.
plan.
Yeah.
So
what
again,
does-
I think it's
Yeah,
no.
but what does consistent mean
What is consistent?
in this context?
Is it consistent with the,
Is it-
so like, you know, if the land use plan, I'm sorry?
It lines up with.
Yeah,
Right. Is it in line with,
It doesn't say is it aligned with the adopted land use, but it says consistent with.
right,
That's
with
a
the-
little different.
with the adopted land use plan?
Mhm.
It doesn't,
So you're not putting you know, whatever, manufacturing facility out in the rural, you know, in a residential area
Mhm.
or whatever, a big warehouse.
Said they passed the legislation in October to say that you can have a solar plant.
Yeah,
It's consistent with the solar farm.
okay.
And we just redid this comprehensive plan, and at the time, they were being done around the same, well, like one right after the other.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
I mean, usually in regulations, right, Steve, like, is it consistent with the regulator, is it consistent, usually
With
that's,
all those other things anyway,
right.
the other stuff,
But consistent is usually used, is it is it consistent with the law, is it in line, is it,
Mhm.
as opposed to. Yeah, in my mind, that's,
Okay.
all right. As opposed to contrast. Okay,
Is that-
so
is that the last section?
that's the last one.
Mm.
Now, after looking at all that. And if we think back on what we've received. And what we heard at the public hearing. What? Are there any things that people brought up that are not captured in that? First of all, so like anything other like concern, well, here's one thing, property values.
yeah. I was gonna say.
That's a big thing that a lot of people brought up. So in my mind, that's not in seeker. So that's not for this part of the review of the process. Would you say that's correct, Taylor?
Yeah, that's, yes, based on, this is what we looked at in the EAF. And the EAF doesn't talk about property values, right? You know, we just reviewed it kind of word for word, and I didn't see anywhere that it says, how will this impact property values?
Right, so that, if that is something that we can learn, that's a question like for Warren or somebody, you know, like, you know, can we look, is that evaluation we can make, that would be part of the overall approval as opposed to the seeker review.
So, yeah, I think the other things that may not be part of secret, but I think came up was the decommissioning plan being inadequate and insufficiently funded. The operations management plan being really scant on details. And then there was something that came up the last board meeting with regards to construction, if they began construction and then failed to complete the construction, then we would need to have a construction bond in place as well.
And we're definitely gonna. Construction bond, completion bond. I guess it's not really completion.
I guess.
They can't really make them complete it. I mean,
Right.
Performance.
Right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right, but like if for some reason they went under and like they didn't want to have this plant anymore, like they make them build it out, doesn't, it's not like it's a building that someone
Right,
could
but
use
then
for
it-
something else.
Then you would have to be decommissioned.
Right, it would have to be, that money would have to go towards pulling whatever they had already put in out and cleaning out.
Yeah, I would like to know more about the disposal and all of that. Stuff of the panel, yeah.
And how do you? Yes, what the
I mean,
proper bond for that is, I guess we have to talk to Warren, I mean. 25 to 40 years down the loan, how are you gonna?
What's that gonna cost?
What's gonna cost?
Yeah,
Taylor, do you guys have some, I believe from when we talked with Dirt, do you guys have like a financial guy that works on that sort of thing? Or like the,
We do. We have an affiliate that's an economist that could, take a look at some of these questions. I know something else. I mean, we wrote the zoning with a percentage, right? That you need to have a bond for. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but it's for a certain amount. Maybe it's the construction amount, but then plus a certain percentage. Because of 40 years, the dollar amount's not going to be the same, right? There's
Right.
inflation. And that percentage would have come from, that could be a guide from NYSERDA, from the model legislation. I'm just trying to remember when we were writing it. I think that's where that percentage would come from, or it could have come from, other communities, like nearby communities, if they had a different one. But I don't know off the top of my head. I'm just trying, like, that's where we would have gotten that percentage from.
And can you ever go back, can it be written somewhere like to check in on that number in 10 years or something? And
Yeah.
yeah,
Based on some price.
Inflation alone.
like refunded with some sort of.
Every 5 years, it gets
Mhm.
upgraded.
Right.
I also had a question about the, I don't think this is secret, but this is related to the community solar component of it, which is that if, let's say the project was fully subscribed, so I think that was 1,500 subscribers potentially.
yeah, and he said something like you have the first week or
First, it was a couple of
15
months.
days, yeah, or something.
It was 90 days
Right.
for the town,
Right.
for the people in the town.
Right,
Yeah.
but let's say that quota was met. Would Central Hudson then say, okay, well, our quota for renewable energy coming from Pine Plains has been met, and therefore any individual wanting to put solar on their roof may not be, that may prevent that possibility? Because there's a certain capacity for purchasing solar.
So how does it affect the hosting capacity for
Well,
residential?
I'm just saying, I don't know, but I'm wondering whether Central Hudson is looking to meet a certain quota of renewable energy in its mix of energy. And if it meets that through this project, then would that mean that somebody wanting to put solar wouldn't be able to get the benefits of solar?
Yeah, maybe we should get a report from them. I mean, I know they don't make any energy. They purchase all their energy
Yeah,
at this point in time.
right, but they usually get into power purchase agreements, which have a sort of a lifetime. And then if they're buying out all this renewable energy from Nexamp or incorporating it into their portfolio, then does that max out their allotment for,
Mhm.
solar power from this area or something? I'm not sure, but I think we should get more information from Central Hudson
Yeah, I think I asked that before, like, will they
Yeah,
suddenly
they
say
should
no?
sign
Yeah.
up for Somebody else. Right,
They vouch for Carson Power and
It's gonna be good luck hearing from them. Telling you right now, you can try. Yeah, we tried, when we were doing the solo, we tried to get them to, and I don't know if we ever did. I think they sent us the website. Like, I don't remember if they, I don't even know what they came back.
They didn't bill me for an entire year because when I called like last month, they were like, oh yeah, we were having an issue with solar.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know, my bill's going like that because they estimate 1 month and it's like completely.
And they're
out
not
of
allowed
whack.
to do that anymore. You
What's
should-
estimating?
Yeah, that's not,
Yeah.
that was passed a few months ago. That is illegal for them to estimate for you.
February.
Yeah.
I
Like,
gotta
now
think
my
too.
bill is like 30 bucks. It's like, what's going on? Anyway,
I got 13 bills in one day.
all right, so and
That's fun.
13,
Yeah,
well, they
so
sent
I
the
called-
monthly
and I
bill.
have it on auto pay, so I was like, wait, because I was like, what? I shut them all off. It was bad.
All right, so what else was well, then we have some things that are not in scope at all for us, but we'll get to that in a second, so let's avoid that for the moment. Is there anything else for us to review after, we make our secret determination and that people brought up? It's property values, there was construction, traffic and that sort of thing.
Well, I kind of touched on that today about Carson Power's ability to.
Right, right.
Construct it, I don't know. Is that within our scope to consider that? Did you talk to Warren about that?
I think it's only we can require them to have some sort of
Construction bond.
construction bond, and that's
It's not
right.
like a a number of
Right.
people came over, said, we haven't done our due diligence on this company, and I don't know that.
It's not like with Durst where they have to operate this sewer plant and
Right,
everything else that would come along with that project, where we have to make sure that it's but that's a question for Warren.
Yeah.
Like, what other due diligence can we request of them or whatever of their regarding their financials and business acumen? I don't know.
A number of people raised it, and I don't know.
Right.
how much we can get into it.
We went over the contamination thing. We saw with no one, or as all the experts were talked to, the contaminant EM radiation, that was another thing people brought up. Again, we've not seen anything from any expert that,
In the letter that we got from the attorney from Somers, he said something about. How they're manufactured, who manufactures.
all
it.
right, so that, now we're into, this is not in our purview at all, like,
Right.
who makes the panels? And it's bothersome, it's like, it's
Right.
probably slave labor in Xinjiang, and they, oh no, they're coming from Vietnam, and they come from Vietnam, it's because they put all the parts in a box and ship it to Vietnam, and then they put it together and slap a made in Vietnam sticker on it. All that sort of stuff, and even, we have a disposal plan, but like, where it goes, is it
Yeah.
going to recycling or not, or who knows what it's gonna mean, it's not, that's outside our purview. Whether or not this is a good idea to do solar. This is a private company. You have a private company contracting to buy a piece of land and putting this thing that's allowed under zoning law. B, the state has designated that this is this goal. And if you do the math, 10 gigawatts divided by how many towns there are, everyone's getting their solar plant, so this is out of our purview. Whether or not, that in that letter, oh, well, this is carbon intensive because they have to make the things and they have to mine the things, it's not for us. We're just judging based upon the zoning law, not on whether this policy is good or not. So we're going to put a couple of paragraphs in there about that. This is outside our purview. You know, I.
There was another
What
comment
else?
about traffic generated during construction.
Right,
Um,
I have that.
yeah, oh, you do, okay.
That's in the outside of seeker. You know, what else?
Yeah.
What else we got?
So Michael, that was, sorry, jumping in. I was just thinking about that and I'm not, that's something I can double check.
That might be in seeker.
That, yeah, traffic and construction impacts. I mean, it's a temporary impact. So, you know, I'm speculating, I don't know. But that is something I can check because I think that's when we're doing traffic analyses, you know, it's like, oh, this is what construction is going to look like. This is how long it's going to take. I know the EAF talks about that. How long is construction going to be? And so that would give you some information about, is it a temporary and maybe small impact?
Panels and stuff.
We can do that. Yeah, we can definitely do that. So mitigate as a mitigation plan, request as a mitigate, you know, when, and the the chipping.
Right. And or
So I guess-
removal too, he said he's gonna remove a lot of the trees, they're not gonna chip. They're gonna chip them all.
They're gonna chip them there and then ship it off.
Chip it out.
Yeah,
So you don't want.
because apparently
50
chipping
trucks
is
a day
not
going in
good
and out.
to like leave it there for the soil.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, can we talk a little bit about the chipping and whether or not that's really the best approach?
Okay.
And I think the determination around that may be partially dependent on what the trees are. And I think that just that may be part of the habitat consideration and what these trees are and whether or not that's a good thing to be doing or to be removing them in the first place, and understanding that better. But then also if we were to determine that, yes, they could remove the trees, there are trees in there, which I observed, which are, there were some fairly large oaks, which I don't think should be chipped. And it seems wasteful to do that. And I'm wondering whether once we determine that what the conditions are around the forest areas that they want to clear and so on, that if it's determined that those forests are going to be cleared, then can we come up with a better tree plan than just chipping them? Because that just seems, well, it's carbon intensive, but it's also seems like a waste to be chipping good sized oak
I
trees.
agree with that. You know, selling this off to a lumber company to do it right, it just doesn't make sense to me to just.
Yeah.
chip everything.
Right, and also those pine trees and the spruce trees up in that other area, I mean, again, chipping those seems wasteful, so I think we might want to rethink that.
I mean, is it all just to, again, I know that's a question for the applicant and maybe
I
even the
think
engineer.
because then doesn't it become like foresting and then then there's a
Right.
whole other license and
Logging permit.
logging permits and all these other
So-
things that it triggers, right?
But
Unless
if they,
just give it away.
right, and that's what I was thinking, if they were to cut the trees, but then just donate them,
Yeah, so
That
we could
wouldn't be-
ask them.
I thought in their updated plan, there was some mention of, I can't remember, what did the updated forestry plan? I don't know. I can't remember. So many things now. I can't remember if they adjusted that where they're not chipping all of them. That did they mention some firewood possibly?
You know, I think must be able to give away some firewood.
Yeah,
I mean, that's,
I don't know.
I'm sure there are people in town that take it.
But that, yeah, that's, I've had, I mean, from the beginning, I've felt like just chipping all these trees up into nothing. Sounds a bit wasteful. I actually saw a thing on TV. There's this guy who has these videos with tree work and they were like chipping this like elm. It's like this big and they have this chip and they just feed this thing right in there. It's like, holy bro. Like, anyway, okay. So you think we hit all the notes that the people said?
Yeah.
Do we have that, my note? Maybe, yeah, do I want to pull it up? Let me just think. Actually, why don't we pull up what the,
oh, fire risk.
oh, right. Where is, that doesn't go into seeker at all? And we still have not heard from the fire department beyond informally. We had asked that they come to the public hearing, but they didn't.
Yeah, that could be, I was just thinking, you know, just off the top of my head, that could be human health, right? Something, you know, is there a fire risk?
Their answer so far has been there's no batteries there. And any
Right.
sort of fires that have happened with these installation are ones that include lithium ion batteries. And that without the batteries, there's not much to ignite, there's nothing to really ignite, and if anything, something would go on the fritz and just stop working. And they say that monitoring of the system is the same as, if they see some anomaly, that means there's something wrong. The only worry I have about it is it's all up there where no one looking at it, and if something were to go wrong. But
Yes, yes, if there's. a
George-
Fire suppression system possible.
probably,
Sounds expensive.
no, it would be detection if anything, but like, I can't think you could do that outside, right? The only thing is, like he said, maybe a camera on it, if they had cameras on it and they detected something wrong, then they could see if it's on fire, I mean, that's the key, having somebody called if something were to go wrong, but it sounds like, I mean, even George was saying that nothing really goes, that doesn't happen. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the EAF part 2 asks about, it's in community character, actually, that it may create a demand for additional community services, which is schools, police, and fire. So I think that, I mean, if that's a concern, you could ask the applicant, what.
There's nothing additional, it's the usual, they already handle brush fires, and, they said they'll have a key to the gate, etc.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, my view is that these things are rated, right? It's like any electrical or building supply, right? They're all rated for certain uses. They're put together according to codes, like electrical codes. It's hooked up to a grid. I mean, electricians are going to be out at the site doing all the work, right?
It's mostly underground.
Right. That's my read. I don't.
The wire, it's not like out west where they have these, wires running through forests and causing forest fires.
Right. So.
The one part that is overground is right near the road.
Yeah.
But yes,
Well, we could ask if there's some kind of a detection system, I mean, or I guess if it
Well,
stops working.
that's what they say. If there's an anomaly, it's constantly monitored, and there's something goes wrong with the production of the electricity, I guess, or.
I mean, I'm sure I can log into mine and see them going.
So which agency actually approves the installation? Do we know that?
Installation?
Yeah, like, is there some formal
Expensive.
inspection protocol for the installation of something like this? And do we,
Was Central Hudson?
I'm sorry?
You mean the hookup was Central Hudson or?
No, I'm talking more about the actual installation of the system.
True.
That's a good.
So it was like a building inspector.
Well, I mean, normally if you build your house, you have an electrical inspector come.
We'll be busy for days.
Well, normally you have an electrical inspector, right? That's what Drew looks at. He looks at the inspection.
Right.
No, Drew doesn't do electrical inspection.
No. So if you have a house, you get an electrical inspector to come in, you rough wire the house, they inspect everything, they give you one sticker. Then once you're done building and you put all the outlets in, they come back and give you another sticker. Drew comes and looks at that sticker.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't know. I mean, that's a question.
They
for
can
Drew.
come out and see if they.
Does NYSERDA do
Yeah,
anything?
who knows if they're doing it right or not?
Mhm.
I know, that's a question for Drew and George, I guess.
The footing zone in, right?
Right.
Who's gonna do that?
Either
Who's
of-
gonna do that?
Well, how many thousand building they need?
They say that there was somebody on site.
Do we know what's the expected life of the construction period?
Six months.
Sounds very short.
Yeah.
I mean,
They don't want to fool around. They want to get it done.
I mean, there's not much beyond, I mean. Once you get the trees cut, then you're like just driving pylons.
I've seen some of the next amps projects on I work up in Albany on the way, and they go up fast.
mhm.
They do go up very fast.
They sent us a map today and they didn't have like the names of the locations. I said, can you give us the names of the ones in Dutchess County and the ones in the one in Dutchess County and the ones in Columbia County? just to know what towns they're in, so we can call the town and be like, how is this going?
Yeah.
I assume that's Hudson, look like Hudson,
Ghent, maybe.
yeah, and
Maybe Ghent.
somewhere down near Poughkeepsie, I don't know where, I wonder if there's.
Well, you said Hyde
I
Park.
think they said Hyde Park.
Yeah, I
So
was
small.
surprised to see how many of them were smaller
Right,
setups. Quite a few of them were.
I think the community solars can't be over 5.
Right,
Right.
right, but like these one, the one in Poughkeepsie
here we
and
go.
Newburgh and so on, those
Yeah,
are
I think
only,
that's the Hyde Park one. He said that they were smaller there.
yeah, I feel like,
It's in this range.
you know what that is, that's, you ever go to Peach Hill Park? I'm pretty sure that's the one you see from Peach Hill Park, from the top of Peach Hill Park, you can see a solar field.
In Hyde Park.
It's off of Salt Point.
In there.
so which of those two, just on the east side of the river, the two big circles up there, where's
So
that?
I think those are the ones up in Ghent that I passed in
Where
today,
they are?
like Ghent or Hudson, right
Oh,
on 9H.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
9H.
know.
I think that's 3 circles too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's 3.
Right, but I guess the construction is gonna be dependent on the bedrock. And
I would
how,
assume it's the bedrock,
and
they say what is it, 55% of it is 4.1 feet or less.
We need to ask that question, to understand exactly how that works.
Cause I know Andrew made a point of saying how deep the pilings go, because they have to be able to withstand the
Mhm.
wind tests or whatever.
right,
So 4 feet's not bad if you're building a, treehouse, but
I had asked last time of Andrew, would he send a topo map of the land now and where they project it will be? See what kind of grading they're going to do,
mhm.
because there are some spots where they might level it a little bit. I mean, depending on bedrock.
Well, that's part of secret. So, yeah, so. Where topo will be changed. Okay, so
that-
we, yeah,
That would be part of a seeker,
you're right.
yeah.
Yes, let me look at where. I mean, that's, the first one is land, impact on land. Right?
Yeah, we answered yes. Or yes, but
Yeah.
small.
Impact on land is yes, but it's mostly yes, but small. There's the questions on water table and construction on slopes. And then let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to think about topography, land topography. I think it would probably be land. Right. Yeah, because it's not. There's not a specific mention of, the word topography, but they talk about slope in impact on land. That's the one we've flagged. What is a small and moderate impact on constructing on steep slopes? I think that, to me, that kind of falls under the purview of that question. What does constructing on steep slopes mean? Are you gonna keep the slope? Or are you flattening it out? And then that goes to be a moderate, to large, or small. That's my read.
We had a couple of people saying that an EIS should be done. And I'm just curious, what's the process that would lead to that being?
Well, that's if we make a positive deck.
I see, okay.
And if we were to do that, that would be the next step for the applicant. Right now, we're saying we just need some more information in order to get to our determination.
This is, the
Sarah has a question.
Sarah. I'm sorry.
I would think you would really want to
No.
know how much grading of parcels they're going to be doing. And what they're going to be doing in terms of preserving that for future agriculture.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't think we have any sense of that, and I think they may come in there and really move a lot of earth around.
Right, I think that's also tied into the compaction of the soil.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
And excavation.
DEC says that the EAF questions are not exhaustive, so if you see a
Um,
place where it fits in.
Okay, all right, thank you. I know.
I had a question on one of their, they have two power converters on the middle of the site.
Right, oh, that's where the inverters are, right there in the middle.
What are
Right.
they? Do they generate any heat? Are they on a slab?
They're on a slab. right?
They said they were on the slab, didn't?
So they
Okay,
don't-
What about it?
I assume they don't generate noise.
If anything, a
I just-
hum,
Yeah.
right, I don't know. Probably
So-
Um,
not.
Curious as to, what does it, do they create heat and
Right.
noise?
Is there a fire risk around
Right.
those? Yeah,
Can they talk a little bit about that at the public hearing? Okay.
Yeah, I think he said like if something goes wrong, then basically the power stops flowing and.
Right. But. We should find out.
And again, they're the ostensible experts and, we have our checking it, this is all new. All right, so. I don't know, I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. I want to. I just want to look at my notes. I had started making this like draft thing. Oh wait, that's. Public comment, no, wait, this is not. Draft issues. Wetlands, trees, species, herbicides. Property, wait, whose is this? Is this mine? What's that? All right, traffic, noise, lighting, soils, farmland. Solar policy. Saber indicators. Decommission. Recycling. Lines, comments, draft. Okay, one other thing I wanted to do, can you pull up Ed Bona's? This is somewhat granular, but I just wanted to show this to everyone. So did you guys see the pictures from Ed Bona, his backyard?
No.
It's the one. Oops,
I
I don't know. It's because you've probably not opened a photo like that before. Just go up top. Let's see what would be visited. Just photos. That's probably. Yeah, this is the exact one.
Share it.
So
Let me just share it with, do you want me to share it?
yeah, please share it. So this is one of the houses that this is the one house that sent pictures of their backyard.
So is this the White House or is this? the
No,
one you
this is
can't see?
Ed. He's slightly to the
Right. if you're
north.
looking at it.
To the north
Yeah.
of the White House.
Oh, it is changed.
So, but you changed it.
I just changed the picture by accident. We were looking at that.
Oh, yeah.
It's
This
like
is the
the
one.
same.
It's about the same. So the project, can you zoom in somewhat? No, all right.
Is where,
Up top, no, that's in the,
like way over here.
what is that? No, it's not. You would think it's over there, but it's actually, if you look on the map, it's to the, we need to put this up. Get up.
Go back
Isn't
on the
this
picture about those.
Right, whoops.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
So this is, so that, is that picture, that view from over here?
It's over, this is Trip Road. They're off of Skunks Misery. So that's this thing, the project. Let me see the mouse, Trisha.
Is it this?
No, it's not. The project is over here.
Yeah. up
It's
there.
over here in this area. See right here,
So
see,
the White House is over here.
no, the White House is south to the left of, on this picture, the White House is this way.
So we're looking west.
We're looking west, north, and this, the project is like in this area here.
So is he gonna be able to see?
You know, this is the thing, like, look how far that is and like how, you know,
Right, but aren't we looking at this ridge, these trees and on this side of the panels?
you know,
We're looking-
here, I'll show you why I, that this is. So this, now, can you open, just Google Maps?
This one, plain old Google Maps.
You can. Here, do you want this back? Yeah, if you can open Google Map. Oh, look, it zoomed. You can see that?
There you go. Oh, look.
There we go. Yeah,
So is it like to the right of that telephone?
see where it's to the left of the telephone pole.
To the left of it.
Yes.
That's a silo there.
No, I think it's just like an evergreen tree. I was looking at it at home. So it's in that area, right above the hand there.
Yeah, I don't know if that helps him at all.
Right, so now, if you go, and I can show you why that this is, if you look at, if we can open up Google Maps. And then click on satellite. That's in the layers.
More.
Oh, no, it is, it went,
Oh, did it?
I don't know. All right, so now we gotta just scroll to the right.
There's Sugar Hill Farms right there.
Yeah, but we need to go more to the right though. His house is not in, okay. Good, so like his house is, let me see the mouse. I just have been looking at this, so this is his house.
You can zoom that too.
Okay, so those are
There's
the
the
fields
house.
he's looking across, right?
Oh, yeah, there's a house,
Where?
right?
Right here,
Uh-huh.
okay, so now you look at, and here's that here's that pole,
Oh, yeah, the line.
right there. and
Yeah.
Oh, I can see that from the, you can see that cut. in the
And then
wood.
see, this is where the project is. It's almost, actually, maybe it's even more, almost in direct line with that pole.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's not, it's the fields behind the first fields, not the first fields.
right,
Right.
it's right here. And if you look at it. And again, obviously, this is just one of the people that.
Right.
To the edge, it's 1.28 miles across that valley. To the edge of the project. And this is the edge that, you know, would be seen.
Right.
Well, when they take the other trees down, there may be more that will be seen.
Mhm.
Well, this edge here. You mean more of the panel?
Or the area where they're gonna clear some of those trees goes into the kind of wooded area.
Yeah, below where your hand is.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, so there, oh no, it's like. But you know.
So what's the elevation of that person's property?
This actually has a number on it. So it's below. Slightly below that, right? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, yeah, we can see.
Maybe 1,100 feet.
Why did they go away? Let me just give it a second. Let me see what it loads. No. I mean, this one's 1,200, so it's down from that couple of lines, right?
And then
There's the 1,000. That's kind of
And then what's the elevation of that ridge?
Oh, yeah, and you can see here, so yeah, as that ridge kind of goes down,
Yeah.
like you were talking about, Helen.
Right, so
um,
what's that elevation up there?
Why does that do that when we zoom in?
Oh, it's just
Because once you're not.
resolution is too.
Where these tools just are.
This is this is 800 feet here, right?
Yeah, that's 800. Yeah.
So it's like 1,000, it's about, here's 1,000 line, so it's about 1,000.
So it's kind of on the same level as that.
Right. And then the other people that the White House is the Gallaghers, right, which I believe was. It's like this, I think it's this one. I'm not totally sure, but I think
makes sense.
it had that double gable kind of thing that was missing.
Yeah.
And that's the one that definitely has like a clear shot view of this. It's slightly higher, I guess. I don't know, slightly.
Yeah, because it's at 1,000, it was
Right.
1,200 there or something.
It's on a ridge, I mean.
Mhm.
like, I don't know. And then maybe this house here. No, I don't think we saw this one. This is that farm, I can't remember. But it's not, like, when you look at that photo at first,
Yeah.
it looked like. Is this the photo? Yeah. You'd think it might be this here, but it's not. It's this way. Look at that telephone pole, you know, it's
Right.
in this area here. So anyway.
But
And-
isn't it on the other side of,
So of like a ridge, yeah.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah,
So it's only that little piece. That kind of slopes down in the cornfield on the the southeast corner. Yeah.
but they're not proposing to put panels there.
No.
Well, part of it, right? Halfway down that ridge.
No, they're not coming on the east side of that ridge. They're,
They're
Yeah.
not on the east side of the ridge. no.
right, they're not coming down on the,
Right.
to that.
No, they're
area.
not gonna, but this is already sloping down here a little bit. Excuse me, we walked that, remember? We walked that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Helen did too.
Yeah,
I left you about here instead of that.
I mean, I think,
It was boring.
Oh, got you.
like, I think the question is really like, is there a point along this ridge where if you stopped short of the ridge, then you would not have the visual impact from those properties?
If you're already at the ridge to go down, it's not gonna.
Well, you could see that White House.
Right, yeah, you can see it from the.
Right, but what I'm saying is if you stop the panels, like the ridge here, and then it slopes down this way and it
Oh.
slopes down that way. So if you were to stop the panels short of the ridge and not have them up on the top of that ridge, maybe
Mhm.
properties on the east side may not see them.
But it. The other
Trisha,
thing I
could you
wanted-
share your screen? Share the screen?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Right.
I'm sorry, Taylor, I was operating the thing. I forgot to.
No, no problem.
Whoa, we're freaking out.
No.
Are we?
Do you have that visual impact thing that they sent us, the new visual impact study thing from Andrew? He sent it like
Oh, yeah.
today or yesterday. And then then we're done. Unless anyone else wants them.
For tonight.
I tell you, I went to that town board meeting. They were done in like 40 minutes. I was like, what? Where's the rest of the meeting? What is this?
Which one is it? Is it this? I don't remember what it was called. Do you remember what it was called?
Maybe that's it. I don't know. Lost profile. He sent it. You can look at my email if this
It's,
is. No, this is it. Yeah.
Okay, let me just share it with.
So he wanted to, you know,
Yeah.
Do you want me to
whoops, yeah, share that.
There we go.
So that's looking towards, I guess that's Augustine now?
Yeah,
And then show that,
So he's northbound looking south.
and then where's that, Trisha, can you just scroll to that,
Yeah.
that little diagram with the trees or whatever?
Up.
Wait, no, up, I think it's up, I think that, yeah. So that shows that there would, I guess, still be trees in the way. To be honest, that seems a bit conservative, right? Like those trees are pretty tall, looking north, like they, like, okay. Those are existing
Those
trees.
panels will be turned
Those are
around.
existing
Yeah, it's turned the wrong way, right? That's
Right, those are not, and now go down to the other one. So the ones they have yet to do are the one, so this one is to that farm, like, I don't know, where it used to be called Relatively Stable or whatever, I don't know.
That's my phone.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'll go down now so we can see that shot. So that's to that. Now let's go back up. And look, and you can see there's two ridges in the way.
Well, I would have to assess that myself because I just seeing this visual approximation on a piece of paper. I mean,
It's hard to tell.
it's hard to tell and I'm a skeptic. I would have to walk that or something just to.
These trees on, leaves them.
So.
They're
what-
mostly evergreens.
Leaves off the.
Well, to that,
Quite tall.
Well, the evergreens are not doing so good right now.
all right, so if you want to send some pictures like Ed did, we can do the same thing. You know,
Right, well, I don't know exactly where it's gonna be,
okay.
you know, I don't know, I don't have the
Uh,
coordinates right now.
we can definitely say we could not see any of the houses that way at all.
Right.
Well, that's nice, but I'm sorry, I don't like to take people's word for it. I like
Yeah,
to see
no,
for
I
myself.
understand, but
it's our job though. To evaluate these things for the community. Okay,
So
Are we-
what was the, is there a reason why they can't have any kind of physical, you know, a way of showing on the site physically the height of the panels through some kind of story pole, as you would in some commercial developments, where you erect story poles which have flags on them so you can see
well,
what that would look like?
we would need cooperation from the people then, I guess. I don't know, it seemed that George recommended this one, right? He's the one that sent like, oh, this is the, so that's a
But-
question, on Wednesday, let's
Right.
ask
So
one.
I think where
This is better.
yeah, I mean, I think.
I
this-
agree, like a physical, remember I said,
Yeah,
why don't we
yeah.
just put like a tarp on a piece of
Right.
plywood and this is a panel?
So,
You know,
so I think where they're taking trees down, obviously putting something into the forest isn't gonna work, because you're not gonna see that because it's forested right now, but on the ridge line. Where it's already cleared its field, they could easily
Right.
put something along that line to show where those, you know, where they would be. I don't understand why they're like, why that's complicated.
yeah, no, I don't know either. And I feel that that's better, like doing that with that picture is much more concrete than looking at LiDAR lines on a screen.
Right, it's helpful.
yeah,
but
this
it's all.
wasn't, I was thinking of like a vision, more of like a visual looking.
But you obviously you need to go onto people's property or else, you know, if you don't have cooperation. And it's not visible from any public road. So, you know, it's not like they can just park on the side of the
So
road.
what was the Google Earth thing that he sent?
That was just all the people that commented. You want to pull that
Oh,
up?
I thought it was like showing it.
It was all the people that sent in comments, I guess. They pulled up this,
Yeah, it's pins on the map. Just showing,
I thought it was like showing.
oh no.
I had it the whole
I
time.
know, it's ready to go. It's tanking.
So oh, you hit the dice?
It was just so that they could say like, you know, well, this person, you know, where's their visual in relation to the project?
Oh, those are all people that commented.
Right, and sent in letters, or was that the? So where's where are we now? Oh, yeah, this guy.
Is there anybody from the western side?
Jack, the back,
Yeah.
Oh, just
Mackerel.
Sugar Hill Farm. He was the only thing west of the site? Only person?
well, the Bardan. Pavan
Johnny
Gatani,
Piccolo, yeah.
I don't know, I'm not quite sure where they're,
They're on Bean River.
So they.
Oh.
It's like right on almost the corner of, 199.
Can you
we
zoom
zoom
in
this in?
slightly? Yeah, and then we're just gonna have the pan.
Can you share again? So I can-
Oh, is this not shared?
No,
Sorry, sorry. Del.
I was looking along on my map and I was like, I should make sure we're looking at the same thing.
So you can kind of go all the way in and look. Like if you
See by that.
zoom all the way in, you can kind of place yourself in the field and look.
You can.
No, it's only on a street, like you're thinking like a street view.
Street food.
Yeah, I did that when I was down there.
What happens if you zoom in all the way?
If you go to the.
And what?
But you can like pan, like this way,
Yeah.
like
I think you have to hit. Do you have to hit 3D?
maybe.
Yeah.
Hit 3D.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
so I think we need to go out a bit, right?
It's delaying. Yeah, this is it's still moving, right? You didn't touch it. Can I see them? No, it's not. Okay. There we go. So where are we now? I lost. Okay. So. Wow. How do you get this to spin? Well, here, let's just look at this.
There's the site there, right?
Yeah, so this is that area here. You can see that bump
Mhm.
right along here. But it's not quite right. Cause it's 3D, but it's like. The trees are pointing sideways kind of. Let's see if we can move this way. And then how do we spin this thing? No, probably not.
Just click and drag maybe.
What if you put the little guy in the field, have him look around?
Oh,
That's how. It only works for the street.
I don't know if it'll work. though.
no street view. I can't. Why was it spinning before? Now I can. Is this
Down that right there.
Ah. But that's just gonna,
You're not gonna be able
So
to.
now I'm just looking north, is that what?
right,
that's
that's orienting it as opposed to having it oriented towards where. I wanted to be able to look to this. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, that was fun. But you see, like, that's where the.
Right.
It drops off like right here, steeply. You see the shadow crest of it right here. And
Yeah.
that thing comes down to what, like this?
Yeah, well, no, but I don't
No.
think they're doing, no,
I like that, right?
yeah,
Yeah, from here to here.
Yeah, from that corner over it.
So. All right.
5 years old, the picture.
Right, and it's also, it's weird, like when you pan out. And it's like, this is fall or winter, and then this is spring. It's like, how does that even happen? Like, it's like mixed.
It's fine.
Anyway. That was fun. All right. That's enough for tonight, in my opinion. Unless anyone else has anything else? All right, Taylor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Michael, I'll send you, that
Go-
EAF part 2, that like draft working form with comments.
Yes, no, next Wednesday, our regular meeting. Yes, thank you, Taylor. Now, are you back or you just came for this meeting? I thought you were gone for a month. What happened?
I am,
Okay, you are.
just for you. Just for
Okay,
you.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
That's all right. Thank you. Yes, my baby is asleep, so it's all good.
Oh, there you go. All right.
All
Take
right.
care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.